Hey guys, welcome back to HypnoVision Studios. I want to first and foremost, as I start this video, say thank you to every one of you out there who has been following my channel long term. And for everyone that's hearing the sound of my voice for the first time, thank you for stopping by. I hope you find something here today that is both interesting, entertaining, and leaves you with something that is valuable. I want to really dive in today and tell you that you don't need anyone's approval to start that next project in life, to start that YouTube channel, so to speak, or to just simply follow your heart. There is within the psychology of things all of these different pitfalls that we can find ourselves in when it comes to wanting to be liked and accepted by others. And I am no different than any of you guys out there or women out there. So if you have a conviction in your heart and want to start that YouTube channel or launch a clothing line or maybe just try something different, but you worry about, will your friends support you? Will your family be there for you? The answer is a mixed bag, depending on your family system, the type of environment you came from, the type of friends group you were surrounded by. You will not always find the support to be universal. In fact, you may even lose a few people on the way. I want to use my experience with starting this YouTube channel as a very good example of this. Now, in the very beginning, when I started this channel, I was really digging into writing for myself again. I probably was a hopeless romantic at one time in my life, but I always loved to write, even though I was terrible at writing, terrible at reading. But here I am 3 years later making content, and I've even launched my own clothing line. But, I had to do this for myself, and that was part of the learning lesson, that I did not need the approval of other people. And I did not need to do it the way that other people thought I should. That is another thing about needing approval from others. Well, if it were me, I would do it this way. And if we follow those type advice at times, we can literally take ourselves off the mark. And that has certainly happened to me during my channel and during the content creation. I'll give you some good examples. And this is not to put anyone on blast, not to put anyone to expose people that I know personally. But when I started making content and I started to upload videos, I was doing a lot of writing that was soul-centered writing. I started to receive text messages from anonymous numbers. And I started to actually pay attention to the patterns of these. These text messages would come in a wave, right? They would come in ways that were centered around the content I was posting. So a day or two after I would post a video or something, I would get these strange text messages. Now, it didn't stop me. It did make me question things. And actually, it drove me into isolation because for the first time in my life, I understood that I had to do this for myself. And whoever was sending me these text messages clearly could not speak to me directly. They had to do it anonymously. They had to do it through a means of staying in the shadows, staying behind the mask and not revealing their true identity. And that's okay, to be honest, because not everyone is emotionally mature enough to speak to you directly. Not everyone has the emotional fortitude, if they have a problem, to address it with you. And this is the second part of needing approval, because if we are too agreeable with every single thing, then we are by default sending the signal that we are allowing or we will tolerate certain behavior as being okay, because we have an inner fear of communicating. We can be afraid that if we communicate a true feeling, that it may turn the relations sour, or that if we speak up, we may lose that friend. But the consequence of staying silent also is just as bad. When you stay silent and you don't speak out your feelings and your emotions, and you don't let people know what is in your heart, what is in your mind, people can't assume. They can't fill in the blanks for you. And if you need the approval before you can speak, then is it really worth speaking at all? So those were some of the things that I experienced when I first started my channel. The other thing that I experienced was I never intended for my channel to become so spiritually based. I never intended to talk about religion so open and honestly. And I never really intended to start talking about God on my channel, but I did. And much of this started to happen because of certain influences around me trying to push me into certain ways of thinking. When you start to leave a belief system behind, some people will try to push you back into it. This was a revelation for myself that I had, because once I started to question things and critically ask myself, is this a belief that I truly hold for myself, or is this a belief that I am tolerating because I need approval from someone else, someone on the outside of me? And the answer in the end was yes. Some of this was people pleasing. Some of this was needing that approval, that it is okay for me to talk about this. And honestly, much of that did end up revolving around semen retention and celibacy and sex in general, because it is quite honestly in many religious circles taboo to talk about. And most people have a lot of shame. And I personally experienced this myself, where people use gossip and rumors to try to create shame around you. And that changes how you carry yourself. It changes how you walk, talk, act, how you interact with other people. I myself, about 10 years ago, experienced that in a very public way, where my personal business was being spread all over the place. Now, at the time, I really didn't get involved in it, because why add more attention to something when someone is already bringing negative attention to themselves? This is like the little boy crying wolf, right? Why were you involved? Those are the kind of questions that I started to ask myself, like, okay, I made a mistake and I'm willing to change from it. But then other people would sit there and say that old Nick, meaning me, is a bad person, while trying to make themselves look good, look innocent, look like a victim. Now, this mindset, this is clearly a mindset, a way of thinking. This is from trauma. This is from a person with a hurt ego. Now, yes, it takes two to tango. That is absolutely true. But allowing yourself to fall in those pitfalls is something that will hold you back in the long run. You don't need approval from other people, and you don't need to impress other people. There's a saying from Dave Ramsey, which is a financial guru. People often drive vehicles that they cannot afford to impress people at stoplights that they'll never see again. The reason for this is because it gives them a sense of success, a sense of well-being, a sense of having all these nice things. I myself have a lot of nice things, but you don't see me flashing these things around. I don't really brag about the things that I acquire. I acquire things that help me propel my life forward with purpose. There are many things like creating this studio that I needed to have in place in order for me to produce videos, a camera, a studio software, which all cost money. I didn't buy these things just to show people, hey, look at me, I have this here. I'm actually buying the tools that I need to perform tasks, to create videos, to express myself, and to put myself out there. So I don't need the approval, even though when people tell me that I am an inspiration, I am truly appreciative of it. And to be honest, when I'm very happy, I cry. And that is something that only very few people know about me, is when I am truly happy, I cannot hide it. I start to cry. And most people associate crying with being sad. I'm not truly a sad person. I do understand the difference in the empath and narcissistic paradigm of things, where you allow yourself to feel what other people feel, but also on the same token, you cannot carry those feelings with you as baggage. There are some people that will come into your life, and then once you start to be happy for yourself, they will come back around to your life. Why? To bring you back down, because they wanted to leave you in the energy that they were left in. This is more on the narcissistic side of things. Narcissistic people or narcissistic personality types, they really lack that inner dialogue in their imagination. It is like me against the world. That is the type mindset that they have. So if they can come in and knock someone off of their feet, it makes them feel better. It is never really truly a good thing to revel in someone's downfall to make yourself feel better. And I suspect that the people that were sending me these anonymous text messages over the beginning of my channel fit into these categories. Now, it's no shame to anyone out there if you happen to still be watching my channel. So guys, again, this is not about exposing people. This is not about casting shame onto people. I experienced this in my life, and this is my life story, and I am absolutely allowed to give myself permission to talk about it. Same as what I'm trying to tell all of you out there. You and only you can give yourself the approval, give yourself the permission, and allow yourself to talk about your life story. No one else really can give you approval or disapproval. And if people don't like it, then they're not for you. That's the simple truth. When it comes to the understanding of you cannot serve two masters, that is between the mind and the heart. If you follow your heart, then you are following the master of the heart. If you follow the mind and all of its hidden corridors, then you can surely find yourself in inner conflict between following your heart and what you think. That is essentially what it means to serve two masters. This is not about the classic cartoons where there's Jesus and the devil on one side of a person's shoulders, and one person is saying this and the other person is saying that. This is more about the mind and the heart. When you don't serve two masters, both of them work in synchronization and harmonization. They work together as unison, one essence, if you want to call it that. So on the other side of things, on the other side of the narcissistic paradigm is being empathic, allowing yourself to feel what others feel, but not hold on to it. So that is probably one of the biggest definements of the narcissist and the empath paradigm, is that one person wants to dominate the other person and either leave that person in the energy that they are in. This is like energy swap, right? But the truth of the matter is you create your own energy, and it is your energy, right? What animates your body? What makes your fingers move? What makes your mouth move? What makes your legs move? It is energy. It is a form of energy. And we have electrical impulses in the brain. That is also energy. It is electricity. It is a very weak form compared to the outside world, right? It takes a lot of energy to power a whole city, but it doesn't take that much energy for electrical impulses to send signals to the body for you to take action, for you to get up and walk across the room. There is still a form of energy. So it is always your energy, your perception of reality. And that's why I say you don't need someone else's approval. The emotional entanglement of things is once we take on that baggage, right, we feel like it is ours to carry. And then we can feel guilty for letting go of it. And that is part of the slippery slope of understanding emotional intelligence, understanding your own emotions versus people's emotions on the outside of you. And you've seen me do this on camera so many times already in the past few months, where I show you guys the emotional response in the body when I start to say to myself, I feel the emotions of gratitude. I feel the emotions of gratitude. This is essentially telling the brain to release the electrical impulses to change the chemicals in my body. The correspondence is the visual representation of the goosebumps and the hair standing up. It is the chemical and energetic release of the chemicals in the body. So by that very understanding, you see just how powerful the human mind truly is. The human mind can take things that are not even real in imagination and see it as real, experience it as real. So that is another aspect of the mind that most people don't really consider. We oftentimes truly are so caught up in the outside world. And if we don't allow ourselves periodically to shut down and to sit with self and come back to self, we can find ourselves out there in the outside world, taking on all of these energy impressions of other people, and we start to lose parts of ourselves and take on parts of other people. When we take on the baggage of other people, we are starting to load ourselves down with these different aspects of other people that we have identified with. And the word identify contains the word entity. So if you are superstitious, then you would understand what it means to have an energy transference, or to have an emotional attachment, or an attachment of, in the spiritual things, some people would say a demon. But, truthfully, I don't believe in the devil. I believe in the word to deveil means to lift the veil and see what's behind something. So the whole understanding of being perfect and being righteous, to me, is a matter of perception. Nothing more, nothing less. Because we, as humans, are imperfect. We will never be perfect. Even no matter how hard we try to play that role that we are perfect, we are still filled with imperfection. And that's okay. It truly is okay. That does not mean that you are inherently bad. It does not mean that there is something wrong with you. We all have a different form or different varying degrees of imperfections. And that's what makes us human. That is what makes us unique. That is what makes us different. I really understand that thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. And that makes a lot of sense. When we feel something so strongly, it makes us focus or zoom into the thought pattern, right? What does it mean to be obsessed with someone? We can have such a strong, intense feeling about something that it is all that we can think about. So we are pulling down the electrical thoughts into our heart space. When you look at the diagram of the electromagnetic field around the heart and around the mind, the heart puts off a way bigger electromagnetic field than the mind. And when we get into these spaces, right, during COVID, they told us to stay 6 foot apart. If you understand that when we start to get close to other people, we are sharing the electromagnetic field with those other people, there is a biochemistry that is happening here. And there is information that is being exchanged between our bodies, even if it's not spoken. Have you ever been around people and you just get this vibe, right? It's a vibe, right? That is what I'm saying here. So it's okay that you're not perfect, and it's okay that you don't always have the answers to things. That's okay. You don't need approval. If you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to quit your job, if you want to do anything in life, you don't need approval from someone else. And you certainly, if you find yourself in situations where things get contentious between you and an individual or a group of people because you want to follow your heart, that is a clear indication that those people don't support you, and that's fine too. If they don't support you, that's fine. I myself have been in that situation many times throughout my life where people don't support me. I've been in situations with narcissistic people many times in my life where if I didn't do what they say that they want me to do, then they treat me different. You also start to understand when you look at this that there is an aspect of life where people train you. They train you like a pet through reinforcement. This is really what a narcissistic person is doing. They train you through the reaction. When they don't get the reaction that they want, they will amp it up, and they will keep amping things up until they elicit the response from you that they desire. This happens much like you would train a pet or break a horse. When the pet sits, when you give the command to sit and you give it a treat. When the pet chews on something, what happens? Some people will spank a dog, or they will be ugly to a dog to reinforce to that dog that this action or this behavior is not okay. Typically, this is because animals don't respond to human language, but they do pick up on your energy. So, animals, even though they can't speak, are a very good indication of a person's energy. So, if you are scared and shy and timid and go up to a horse, the horse can pick that up. It can tell whether or not that you are comfortable and confident or you are scared and timid. Now, that really does create a trust factor between you and other people. It is an unspoken thing. So, this is part of emotional intelligence, being able to read other people. And I, myself, as a DJ who has spent more than 20 years in that line of work, I find myself oftentimes having to read a dance floor and to read or read out to myself what a good song selection is going to be to follow this up with. Can I keep this energy level at the same point? I also understand that if I go to a high energy level, it's hard to maintain that throughout the night. So there has to be a little bit of high energy, and then we kind of bring it back down, and then we just kind of want to smooth this out so we can keep a steady, nice flow throughout the whole night. Most people can't even read another person. And I say that open and honestly, which is the whole premise of this whole video. If we start to understand the self-dialogue, the self-story, and how we are framing it within our imagination, we can start to change it. I often do speak about Neville Goddard and his work. Joseph Murphy is another one. The hero's journey is something that is a lot of people identify with, even though they're not aware of it. So the hero's journey is much like the story of Jesus, where there is this event that happens that changes the course of the outcome. And it is a very interesting archetype when you start to look into it. So there is a difference in the narcissistic and empathic paradigm. When I started my channel, it was an expression for myself. I was trying something new. My daughter was having trouble reading in school, and I started to create children's stories, and I started to read on the microphone. Not only was I helping my daughter, but it was also me getting on her level of things, and I was reading for myself, and I was starting to write, and I started to learn about writing on a deeper level. When I started to look into what does it take to write a novel or write a good storyline, I started to understand that there are a few key ingredients. You have to have a story arc. You have to be able to describe things, and not just describe on a surface level, but you need to give deep context, emotions, right? If you wanted to set up a scene where two people are about to kiss, then you would want to describe the scenery around it. Maybe there's a flower nearby and the scent in the air, right? This gives you a sensory input to the story for the emotional aspect of things. How was he framing his story the moment before he kissed her? Was he feeling shy and timid? Was he overthinking, if I kiss her, will she turn away? Was she thinking along the same lines? Is he going to kiss me? Is he going to make the first move? Or do I need to drop a hint? All of these are different ingredients that would go into writing a story. And the other aspect of that is to slow down. I myself realized in the moments in trying to help my daughter read that my tension in my own body was creating tension in hers. She feared saying the wrong thing and I would get mad. Even my oldest daughter, who recently got her a cell phone. This is the first phone, right? She's 14. So in setting up her Apple ID, I set up a Gmail account, and the browser that I set it up in was still logged in to that account. Now, for my YouTube content, I was researching some topics, and the first text message I got from her was, "Daddy, what is this? I didn't look this stuff up." And it dawned on me immediately that I was signed in to the account that I used to create her Apple ID. Now, in her mind, she was really worried that she was going to get in trouble for looking up something that she had no prior knowledge about. She didn't even know the topic even existed. But the premise of all of this is her fear that she would get in trouble. And I do appreciate her honesty. And likewise, I had to be honest with her. Like, hey, you're not in trouble. This is Daddy's fault. I was researching some topics for my YouTube channel, and I did not realize that I was signed into your account, which was showing up in her search history. So these are very real things that happen in our lives, and we don't need approval, right? She wanted to make sure that mom and daddy were not going to be upset with her. And this is just an example of things. But for me, using my YouTube channel as the example here, and getting all these random text messages, really behind the scenes, at first it did mess with me. Second, I didn't care, because if you don't have the courage to look me in the face or communicate with me directly, then you're just playing games. You are probably just as emotionally immature as a child. And that was really the truth of the matter. I don't need your approval. And if you feel like you got left behind, there's a reason, because you wanted to stay in the places that you were in, emotionally attached to the past. And that is very interesting, because most people do not understand emotional entanglement. They do not understand that they are still carrying baggage that is not for them to carry. And that is a very big lesson here, guys. So let people say what they're going to say about you. Let people talk about you. Let your actions and your results speak for themselves. That gives the whole understanding to actions speak louder than words. So people who like to talk about and gossip about people really don't have anything going on in their own life. And more than likely, they can't sit still either. Because sitting still means they have to sit with themselves. They have to face themselves. And people who can't do that are so wrapped up in what other people are doing that it helps them to escape their own reality. And that is the truth. That is the God honest truth, honestly. So, guys, whether this is for you or not, only you can decide if this message helps you. But you don't need someone's approval to take that next step in life. And if you have friends around you that don't want you to talk to other people, there's a reason. If you sit there and use your intuition and ask yourself why someone doesn't want you to talk to another person, there's probably some hidden intentions and hidden motives behind it. And that really should be a telltale sign that it is time for you to part ways from those people. Likewise, I know for a fact that there are people that did not want certain people to talk to me. They did not want people to be in communication with me. Why? Because it would have revealed a truth to the people communicating with me that they were attached to, did not want the truth to come out. And that is the God honest truth. That is the reality of things, guys. I know for a fact that people that were connected to others who wanted to create stuff with me, wanted to collaborate with me, they couldn't talk to me because they needed the approval of people they were connected to. And that is truth. So guys, I appreciate every single one of you, and I just want you to know that you don't need approval. You are your own creator, and Hypnovision Studios is going somewhere, and I've created several different outlets, and I am looking to co-create with other people, and I'm looking to expand this brand, and I'm looking to grow this brand, and I'm not looking to entangle myself with time wasters. So if you feel like you have purpose in your life, if you feel like you want something more out of life, and you have a dream that you're ready to follow, and if by chance it is in alignment with the type of work that I'm doing on my channel, you are welcome to reach out to me. I will provide a way for you to communicate with me, but I will not do it with people who have to do it in a sneaky way. I will not do it through means of anonymous phone numbers or anonymous profiles, but the door is open. It has been open the whole time. And if you are holding yourself back because needing someone else's approval, that is a lesson, right? So guys, I will see you very soon, and I hope that you all have a great week.